Hello friends, hold up, because Dame Dash just obliterated Jay-Z's biggest weekend of the decade, and y'all are not ready for what came out of his mouth. Nobody saw this coming. The internet is on fire right now because Dame didn't just throw shade, he buried the entire Yankee Stadium moment alive, exposed it as a straight-up commercial, and torched every single person on that stage in one savage sit-down. Your jaw is about to hit the floor when you hear what he said about the haircut, the merch, and who he thinks got paid to be there. I had to rewind 3 times to believe this. Hip-hop just changed forever this weekend. And Jay? Bro really thought this was his crowning moment. Nah, he just handed Dame the loudest microphone of his life. Read the room, HOV. Before we dive deep into this madness, smash that like button right now, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. This one's about to break the internet. Let's get into it. Dame Dash, the Roc-A-Fella co-founder, just unloaded on Sean Jay-Z Carter's Reasonable Doubt 30th Anniversary Yankee Stadium concert series in a brand new sit-down interview that's already going viral on every hip-hop timeline. The takedown dropped this month, right after Jay's 3 sold-out nights at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx where Beyonce, Ness, Memphis Bleak, and Alicia Keys hit the stage as surprise guests. Dame really watched the biggest hip-hop victory lap of the summer and said, nah, that's just Mitchell and Ness in disguise. And Jay? Man walked into this ambush wearing the exact merch Dame was about to torch. Now let's get to the receipts, because the quotes are wild. Source: Rolling Stone. Aight, let me walk y'all through the exact receipts from Dame's sit-down, because every quote hits like a body shot, and I need you to hear these in order. Receipt number 1, the Y30 bomb. Right out the gate, Dame reportedly questioned the whole premise of the anniversary itself. He said something along the lines of, as a businessman, he had to ask why they'd throw a 30-year anniversary when they never did a 10-year, never did a 25-year, and then he dropped the punchline, saying, maybe it's 'cause I owned it 5 years ago. When I heard this, I was like, what? Bro basically accused Jay of timing the whole spectacle to the exact window when Dame lost his Roc-A-Fella stake at auction. And Jay's camp really thought nobody would notice the math? Nah, that's the dumbest timing flex I've heard in years. Bruh, you can't calendar flex on the internet in 2026 and think nobody's checking the receipts. Source: Yahoo Entertainment. Receipt number 2, the Mitchell and Ness commercial bomb. Dame then straight up called the entire concert series a marketing rollout. His words, paraphrased, he said the whole thing seemed like it was about merch, pointed out that Jay allegedly has ownership stakes in Mitchell and Ness and Fanatics, and said the pop-up shops were filled with probably product that they made. Then he hit the KO, he called it a marketing commercial, and said it's not a bad commercial. Open up in the hood where people buy baseball hats and have them start wearing jerseys. When I read this, I had to do a triple take. Is he actually serious right now? He just accused Jay of turning a hip-hop cultural moment into a Fanatics activation. And the crazy part? The receipts back him up. Fanatics literally has a whole Reasonable Doubt X Mitchell and Ness collection selling $400 jerseys right now. Jay walked into that one with his ownership papers hanging out. Source: Mitchell and Ness. Receipt number 3, the paid audience allegation. Then Dame went nuclear. He reportedly said that when he saw the clips, none of the people in the crowd looked like the OGs who were there when Roc-A-Fella was actually being built. He called them Fanatics' alleged activations and said it seems like people get paid to be there 'cause that's a trick that people do. He literally said, I wonder if those people that were there, how much they got paid. Yo, this part is wild. Dame is publicly implying that a chunk of Jay's audience was a paid marketing crowd. That's not shade, that's a whole nuclear allegation. Nah, you can't say that publicly about somebody who just sold out Yankee Stadium 3 nights straight and still expect the streets to look at the moment the same way. It's over. Receipt number 4, the Chris Brown/Reasonable Doubt tickets bombshell. This is where Dame connected a dot nobody in mainstream media touched. He reportedly said that the alleged Chris Brown the lawyer, the same attorney who sued him and forced his Roc-A-Fella interest to auction, allegedly showed up with Reasonable Doubt tickets. Dame's quote paraphrased, why would somebody go to court and spend all that money and not make a dollar unless someone was paying them to do it? When I heard this, my JW dropped. He's straight up implying his adversary got comped tickets to the exact anniversary show tied to the album he lost the rights to. That line right there? That's where the whole friendly celebration narrative lost every ounce of credibility it had left. This dude really thought this was a mic drop moment for HOV. Bruh, you just handed Dame a documentary. Source: TMZ. Receipt number 5, the Beyonce haircut roast. Then Dame turned his sights on the viral moment, the video where Beyonce shaved Jay's head in an empty Yankee Stadium before night one. Dame reportedly said, "First of all, my girl doesn't ever cut my hair. You gotta get a shape up. I'm not getting no haircut in the bleachers with no mirrors. Like, who does that?" He called it unnatural, cringe, scripted, and said there's no razors, there's no mirror. It just was very unrealistic. It's very contrived. When I read this, I was done. He didn't just say the moment was corny, he said it was staged. And nah, you can't drop viral BTS content and expect Dame Dash of all people not to spot the theater. Bro said what? That's the whole persona manufactured in real time. Source: People. Receipt number 6, the Nas reunion cringe bomb. Then Dame did the unthinkable. He called Jay bringing out Nas, the same Nas HOV spent years at war with on Ether and Takeover, a little cringe. He reportedly said, "I'm used to them beefing. I never wanted to see Nas rap over a JB. I never wanted to see Jay doing background for Nas. It just felt awkward." He compared it to seeing Godzilla and King Kong on the stage giving each other five. Yo, this is where Dame torched the entire kumbaya narrative the media was selling. He literally said, "All this kumbaya, I'm not all about all that." Bro just called one of the most celebrated reunion moments in modern hip-hop history corny. If Dame had half a filter, he would have held that back. He doesn't. And that's why the internet can't look away. Source: Baller Alert. Now that we've got the receipts on record, let's connect the dots nobody else is connecting. Here's what nobody's asking. The pattern here is crazy once you see it. The auction timeline. Remember that auction? It happened in November 2024, when New York State bought Dame's 1/3 Roc-A-Fella stake to recoup back taxes. And Jay's Reasonable Doubt 30th anniversary Yankee Stadium blowout kicked off July 10, 2026, roughly 20 months later. That's Dame's whole argument. This connects to something way bigger. Because Reasonable Doubt turned 10 in 2006, turned 15 in 2011, turned 20 in 2016, and turned 25 in 2021, and none of those anniversaries got Yankee Stadium. None. Not even a fraction. So why this one? Dame's not doing math for fun. He's saying the timing lines up too clean with him losing his equity. Source: New York Post. The Fanatics relationship. Now here's the piece the mainstream is scared to touch. Jay-Z has a well-documented ownership piece in Fanatics, the sports merchandise empire that also owns Mitchell and Ness after acquiring the brand in 2022. Guess who sold the officially licensed Reasonable Doubt X Mitchell and Ness X New York Yankees jerseys, tees, and fitteds during the anniversary run? Fanatics. Guess where the pop-up shops routed traffic? Straight to that same product line. So when Dame says the whole thing turned into a commercial for Mitchell and Ness, allegedly, he's not guessing. He's pointing at a supply chain. That post? That interview? Dropped right when the merch was still restocking. The pattern here is a marketing funnel with a hip-hop soundtrack on top. And HOV really thought Dame, the same dude who literally ran the business side of Roc-A-Fella for a decade, wouldn't spot a merch play? Amateur hour, bruh. The Bronx location decode. Now check this timing detail. Dame reportedly asked why it was in the Bronx and wasn't in Manhattan, because that's their target demographic. That's a sniper shot. Reasonable Doubt is a Manhattan album. It's Marcy to Manhattan mafioso rap. Yankee Stadium is in the Bronx. Dame saying the venue choice wasn't sentimental, it was demographic. The people who buy the most fitteds and jerseys live near that stadium. It's not coming home, it's come to the store. The 40/40 Club callback. Dame dropped one more receipt buried in the interview. He reportedly said the crowd looked like a 4040 reunion, referring to Jay's sports bar chain, and then flexed that he owned Socialista downtown with Giuseppe Cipriani, so 4040 was never his crowd. Behind that shade is real industry context. Jay and Dame ran in different social circles even during Roc-A-Fella's peak. Dame's telling you the guest list at Yankee Stadium was the corporate Jay-Z ecosystem, not the raw Roc-A-Fella one. So when he says, none of those people seem to be there that were there when we made it, he's naming a whole missing generation of the label's actual builders. The legal warfare context. And here's the pattern that makes all of this hit different. Dame is currently in the middle of a legal war zone. Attorney Chris Brown reportedly won an $823,000 judgment tied to defamation and copyright issues, plus a separate $4 million default judgment came down in the Josh Weber case. Dame's had company seized, film assets liquidated, and his Roc-A-Fella stake auctioned. So Dame did all this while getting financially dismantled in court? That's amateur hour timing from his opposition, bruh. They really thought squeezing him would silence him? Nah, it just handed him nothing to lose and a viral microphone. We're smarter than that. Source: complex. But here's where it gets even more insane. The details nobody else caught. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about the specific words Dame chose, because that's where the real disas are buried. The cinnamon dada decode. Now check this one phrase Dame kept repeating, cinnamon dada. Sounds like a joke, right? Nah. Here's what that actually means. He said it 3 separate ways. Pretending dada smells good is cinnamon dada. Pretending that hell is heaven is cinnamon dada. Pretending something is good when it's evil is cinnamon dada. That's not a bar, that's a thesis. He's literally saying Jay's entire Yankee Stadium moment is packaging something rotten as something sweet. This changes everything because Dame just gave the internet a memeable shorthand for the whole takedown. Every clip that gets re-uploaded is gonna carry cinnamon dada with it. And Jay didn't even see the trap. That's the problem with old rock. They can't read between the lines because they're still reading the first line. The Yankee to Wonky wordplay. Now zoom in on this one. Dame reportedly said no Yankee to Wonky and used the word pause like 9 times in a row when talking about how many Yankee hats HOV wore. On the surface? Comedy. Underneath? He's mocking Jay's overflexing of a single symbol until it becomes something to be embarrassed about. In hip-hop code, pause is the ultimate way to strip masculinity from a statement. So Dame said pause on the whole Yankee rollout, meaning he's calling the flex insecure, over-commercialized, and self-emasculating. And Jay really thought stacking Yankee gear across 3 nights was a power move? Nah, that was a DSS wrapped in fake respect from Dame's side, and he's got the whole internet echoing pause behind every merch drop. The Batman/Superman metaphor decode. Now zoom into this one. Dame said, when you watch like Batman now, you still want to see Batman with the good uniform and the good car, and you still want Batman crispy. Roc-A-Fella was Batman. We were Batman. We don't want to see old man trash can. What that actually means is, Dame is denying Jay the classic hero framing. He's saying the current version of Jay isn't the reasonable doubt Jay, it's a downgraded, aging, corporate version cosplaying as the original. This is a career-defining shot because reasonable doubt is Jay's most sacred piece of IP. If Dame can convince the culture that Yankee Stadium Jay isn't reasonable doubt Jay, he damages the entire brand equity of the anniversary. And opposition didn't even notice the frame he handed Dame. The Memphis Bleak loyalty layer. Now check this specific line. Dame said, if I'm Bleak, I'd have been like, can I do my own set? Can I at least open up? I still got to come in and ad-lib. I'm 55 years old. I got kids out there. I can't be a hype man this old. That's not shade at Bleak. That's a scalpel aimed at Jay. He's saying after 30 years of loyalty, Bleak is still being used as background instead of being given his own moment. If Dame had wanted to just clown Bleak, he would've. Instead, he said he's just so loyal. I know he'd be like, this still got me doing this. That's a psyop. Dame is trying to plant seeds of resentment between Jay and his most loyal soldier. That's 4D chess. The Rolling Stones/Mick Jagger analogy decode. And zoom in on this specific comparison Dame made. He reportedly said, when someone performs in Yankee Stadium like the Rolling Stones, does Mick Jagger wear Yankee gear all day? That analogy is surgical. Because it does 2 things at once. 1, it puts Jay in the aging rock legend on tour category, which reframes him as a legacy act, not a current one, and 2, it exposes that no other artist of Jay's stature has ever used a venue as a merchandising vehicle the way Dame's alleging. If opposition had half a functioning brain cell in his PR camp, he would have caught this framing before the interview went viral. Too late now. Now, let's see how the media tried to spin this whole mess. Now let me show y'all how the media handled this. Because the framing gap is insane. Rolling Stone's spin. Rolling Stone framed the Yankee Stadium run as part victory lap, part history lesson, part family reunion. Beautiful language, right? Warm, celebratory, prestige-coded. What they conveniently left out. Any real business analysis of the merch machine surrounding the shows. That interview clip we broke down earlier? Rolling Stone acts like it doesn't exist. Zero mention of the Fanatics/Mitchell and Ness ownership angle. That's not journalism. That's a press release with a byline. Source: Rolling Stone. Consequences angle. Consequence went the opposite direction, went full listicle with 30 best moments at Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt Yankee Stadium anniversary concerts. Every framing choice was designed to make the shows unimpeachable. The Beyonce duets, the Nas hug, the Alicia Keys moment. What they framed as pure magic, Dame framed as scripted theater. And the crazy part? Both interpretations can pull from the exact same footage. That's how narrative warfare works. Source: Consequence. Yahoo/AOL's coverage of Dame. Now Yahoo Entertainment and AOL both actually gave Dame's side the space. Headlines like, Dame Dash says Jay-Z's Yankee Stadium concerts felt all glitter, no gold, and Dame Dash rips Jay-Z's Yankee Stadium shows. The framing here treated Dame as a legitimate industry voice with a viewpoint, not a hater. That's a massive shift because 5 years ago the same outlets would have dismissed him as bitter. Now they're quoting him at length. That tells you the narrative is turning. Source: AOL. Baller Alert's take. Baller Alert leaned into the Beyonce haircut and Nas cringe angles hard, framing it as Dame refusing to bow to the moment. Their spin is that Dame's the last independent voice willing to say what everyone else is thinking. That framing is dangerous for Jay because it turns Dame into a folk hero instead of a resentful ex-partner. Counter-narrative from Jay's camp. Now some Jay-Z fans are saying Dame is just bitter, broke, and jealous, that this is all hater energy after losing the auction. That the Nas reunion was historic, the Beyonce moment was iconic, and the shows sold out 3 nights at Yankee Stadium, so clearly the culture disagrees with Dame. Here's why that argument crumbles. Sold-out shows and cultural credibility aren't the same currency. Taylor Swift sells out stadiums, that doesn't make her a hip-hop moment. Dame's not disputing that Jay can sell tickets. He's disputing why the machines sold them and who the machines sold them to. And that's a completely different question. The look at the numbers, crowd can't answer. Some Jay fans are stretching to defend the indefensible on the paid audience allegation and the timing of the anniversary. If you still think Jay's camp has a leg to stand on after all these receipts, the Fanatics ownership, the auction timing, the Chris Brown ticket rumor, you're just running on pure denial. The media is trying to spin this for HOV, but the receipts don't lie, the truth is louder. But here's what nobody in mainstream media has the guts to say. Here's what nobody in mainstream media is talking about, and this is the trending angle blowing up hip-hop YouTube right now. Dame Dash isn't beefing with Jay-Z. He's exposing the entire modern hip-hop business model, and Jay just became the case study. Mainstream is framing this as aging co-founder bitter about losing his stake. That's lazy. That's the safe take. Here's the real story. Follow the money. Everything Dame said points to one thesis. Hip-hop's biggest cultural moments aren't culture anymore. They're marketing activations for portfolio companies owned by the artists themselves. Jay allegedly has ownership pieces in Fanatics, which owns Mitchell and Ness. Fanatics sells the merchandise. The Yankee Stadium shows drive demand for the merchandise. The pop-up shops in the Bronx capture the demand. The revenue flows back to the ownership group. That's not a concert, that's vertical integration in a fitted cap. And Dame, the only person in the entire ecosystem who actually knows the business math from the inside, is the only person telling you what you're really watching. The label bosses playing the industry got HOV out here as a puppet, and the ecosystem is pulling strings while he thinks he's calling shots. Source: Facebook, Art of Dialogue. The generational betrayal angle. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Dame dropped a line that got buried in the noise. I don't want to see all this transactional stuff. That's why I came back out of retirement, because I just don't feel people are pushing the creative bounds. And the only person I think is doing it is Kanye. Read that back. Dame just publicly said the other Roc-A-Fella superalum, the one who's also at war with Jay, is the last real creative. That's not just shade. That's Dame drawing a battle line and telling the culture, pick your side. Creative ye or corporate HOV. That's a generational betrayal accusation. And Jay is the corporate side of it. That lyric quality Kanye comparison? It's actually about a deeper meaning. Dame is arguing hip-hop has been hijacked by artists who stopped taking creative risks and started monetizing their catalogs into brand licensing deals. Ye represents the art installation model. Jay represents the merch drop model. Dame's team picking. Loudly. Source: Billboard. The pass the plug cultural shift. Then Dame dropped what might be the most viral line of the whole interview. The problem is that the older artists never want to pass the plug to the younger artists. They always want to stay the freshest. That right there? That's the trending YouTube angle right now, the old heads versus new heads cultural war. Dame just used Jay's own biggest moment against him to make the case that the entire OG class is hoarding cultural capital instead of transferring it. He said, I don't want to see old dudes on stage no more. I want to see crispiness. Remember that Batman metaphor we broke down earlier? This is where its real meaning lands. Dame is saying Jay's Yankee Stadium wasn't a passing of the torch, it was a hoarding of the torch. And in an era where Gen Z hip-hop fans are already over the OG class, that framing is career radioactive. The social media warfare layer. Now here's the part the mainstream won't touch. Dame is winning this fight on the algorithm even though he lost it in the courtroom. Every clip from this sit-down is going viral because it's spicy, shareable, and quotable. Cinnamon Dada. Yankee to Wonky. Godzilla and King Kong giving each other five. Old man trash can. Those aren't just insults, those are meme units engineered for TikTok. Meanwhile, Jay's Yankee Stadium promo is a corporate rollout. In 2026, the meme economy beats the merch economy in cultural staying power. And Jay doesn't even have a public response strategy because he can't respond without amplifying Dame. So Dame is torching him from a position of zero downside. That's a masterclass in psychological warfare from a man everyone counted out. Every move Jay's camp makes was predicted by Dame weeks ago. He's a puppet on visible strings, Dame's holding the scissors. The authenticity war. And here's the final layer nobody's addressing. Dame is repositioning himself as the last authentic voice from the Roc-A-Fella era. Everyone else, Jay, Bleak, even Beanie Siegel to some extent, has been absorbed into the corporate machine, made peace, taken the checks. Dame lost his stake, lost his companies, but kept his mouth. That makes him extraordinarily dangerous. He has zero business relationships to protect. Zero. So every word he says carries the weight of somebody with nothing left to lose. Jay's whole persona is manufactured corporate polish, and the mask is slipping in real time every time Dame opens his mouth. Jay is watching the culture debate his authenticity in real time, and there's nothing he can do to stop it because responding is losing. And that's the truth they'll never put on the front page. So the real question is, what happens next? Buckle up, because it's about to get wild. Here's what's about to unfold. 3 scenarios. Buckle up. Scenario 1. Most likely outcome, Jay goes silent, Dame goes louder. Here's what's most likely to unfold. Jay-Z is not gonna respond publicly to Dame. Not on wax, not in an interview, not on Twitter. He's gonna do what he's always done, pretend Dame doesn't exist, and let the corporate machine keep printing money. But here's the thing, that silence is gonna work against him this time. Because Dame is gonna keep dropping interviews, keep dropping clips, keep dropping cinnamon dada bombs on every podcast that'll book him. When Jay doesn't even respond, Dame is gonna look vindicated, like his allegations were true enough that HOV couldn't touch them. Within the next 6 months, expect Dame to drop at least 5 to 7 more viral clips specifically about the Yankee Stadium run. Every merch drop, every re-release, every future reasonable doubt-related product from Fanatics is gonna get roasted in real time. Jay will try to escalate his marketing rollout to drown it out, but nobody's gonna care. The silence is deafening. Meanwhile, Dame's own upcoming projects, his podcast, his interviews, his content, are gonna ride the wave of this moment. He said his single drops tomorrow, album in September. Watch him leverage this exact moment for every ounce of promotion. Mark my words, that's coming. And Jay's silence is gonna damage his credibility more than any diss track ever could because it looks like guilt. Scenario 2. Alternative path, a Bleak or Beyonce reaction leaks. Now if the wild card happens, if Bleak or somebody in Jay's inner circle responds without permission, Dame is getting handed an even bigger stage. Watch what happens. If Memphis Bleak releases a statement defending Jay, Dame is gonna use it to prove his exact point. See? Even now Bleak is still doing hype work. He's gonna call it Roc-A-Fella loyalty theater, and clown the entire response. If Beyonce fans start attacking Dame over the scripted haircut line, that just amplifies the clip to a whole new demographic, the Bayhive, which means Dame gets millions of new eyeballs he couldn't buy. We saw what Dame did to the entire Yankee Stadium narrative with one sit-down. Jay's inner circle doesn't stand a prayer of coming at him publicly without making it worse. That's the trap. Every response feeds the fire. Every rebuttal validates the allegations. Every clapback extends the news cycle. Jay's camp is smart enough to know this, but they can't control every mouth. Somebody's gonna slip. And when they do, Dame is gonna feast. Scenario 3. Industry and cultural impact, the Yankee Stadium case study. Looking at the bigger picture, here's the long-term damage. This moment is gonna become the case study that every hip-hop journalist, every business school professor, every future artist references when they talk about the vertical integration era of hip-hop. Not because Jay did anything wrong legally, he didn't. But because Dame reframed the entire narrative in one weekend from legendary victory lap to corporate marketing rollout wearing a Yankee hat. 5 years from now, when people talk about the Reasonable Doubt 30th anniversary, they're not just gonna remember Beyonce and Nas, they're gonna remember the accusation that turned the whole thing into a Fanatics commercial. And here's what's crazier. This moment is gonna push the culture to demand more transparency about artist ownership stakes in merchandise partners. That's the poison Dame planted. Every future artist brand collaboration is gonna get analyzed for the same conflict of interest lens Dame just introduced. Jay unintentionally became the poster child for the exact business model that Gen Z hip-hop is rebelling against. He's watching the culture move on without him, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. Legacy damage in real time. And Dame? Dame just cemented himself as the one voice from the OG Roc-A-Fella era that Gen Z will actually quote. That's not bitter losing, that's cultural repositioning at its finest. Whatever unfolds from here, one thing is crystal clear, Jay-Z already lost this narrative war. He just doesn't know it yet. Alright friends, that's the full breakdown, the truth nobody else had the guts to tell you. If this exposed something you didn't know, do me one favor, smash that like button so this video reaches every real hip-hop fan out there. Hit subscribe right now and ring that notification bell, because the next story we're dropping is even crazier, and you do not want to miss it. Drop a comment below telling me whose side you're on, I read every single one. And if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos on your screen right now. Trust me, you're gonna want to see what we uncovered next. Peace.